Hello everyone, welcome to the Man Cave, and on this race report, we're going to talk about Dark and Dirty Miles. We're going to cover the race, the terrain, the food, the swag, and finally my experience. So let's dive right into the race. Alright, so this is a night race put on by Outlaw 100 at Robbers Cave State Park in Wilburton, Oklahoma. They have a 5K, a 10K, a 25K, and a 50K. And the 50K started at 7 p.m. and it had a 12-hour cutoff, which is extremely generous. What's really interesting about this race is that they give you the option between a gravel road out and back, which is 5K, and a trail loop, which is also 5K. And if you would like, you could even do one loop and then the other loop and mix them together. So if you're doing the 10K, you can do the gravel out and back, and then you come across the start finish line. And the next time you go back out, you can do the trail loop to experience both options. And you would just be considered a gravel road runner. So speaking of the trail and gravel, let's dive into the terrain. All right, so first we'll talk about the gravel road. You're just shoot out that start finish line. You go straight down the road, you turn left, and then you have this gravel road hill. You climb up that hill, and then once the trail runners break off to the left, you still have to keep going up. Eventually, it does flatten out some, and then it'll start going down once you get towards the turnaround point. And at the turnaround point, it's this beautiful ranch, and you got the water and Gatorade, everything set up there. So even though it's a 5K out and back, they still have water at two spots along this out and back. And so you turn around and then you come back to where you started. So you're going to run slightly uphill, you'll flatten out, and then you just run down that same big hill that you started at, and you cross the finish line to finish the 5K out and back. And there's about 450 feet of elevation gain on this gravel road. So it's not your typical Oklahoma gravel road. You're going to have to do a little bit of climbing. All right, so the trail is a whole adventure all in itself. It's so much packed into a 5K loop. You start climbing up that gravel road, and then you turn left off into the woods, and then you have a rocky, technical, but runnable trail. And this trail runs along the side of the cave, and you go down the ramps to the front of the cave, and then you're back in the woods again, and then about a mile in, you get to this big climb. So this climb is only like 60 to 70 feet of elevation gain, but it feels so much more than that. And there's big rocks all over, so everyone just kind of powers their way up through this climb. You make it to the top. It gets a little more runnable at the top, and then you get going until you find the Rough Canyon Trail. The Rough Canyon Trail just has big rocks all over. I have to tiptoe my way through it. I'm amazed when people just go running through the Rough Canyon Trail. And then when you make it through Rough Canyon Trail, it's just a healthy mix of rocky, rooty, but then some runnable stuff too. And then eventually you'll get to a water station. So again, this is a 5K trail loop with a water station in the middle. So there's just so much support out there. And eventually you'll find this lake or this pond or whatever this beautiful body of water is. And then you get to run alongside that. And then you're followed by more rocky, rooty, technical, but somewhat runnable trail. And then you'll find your way back to the gravel road. And you get to run down that same hill that you hiked up at the very beginning. Then you'll cross the finish line. So the 5K trail loop also has about 440 to 450 feet of elevation gain, which is pretty good for a 5K loop. So let's talk about my favorite topic. Let's talk about the food. Outlaw is known for bringing in barbecue. I'm not talking about like burgers and hot dogs. No, they bring in legit barbecue. They bring in the chicken and the pulled pork. And then, of course, with it being so hot out, they had tons of watermelon, and then they had popsicles. So everyone was feeling like they're 12 years old again, just pushing the ice up through the plastic tube. They had the pickles and pickle juice for the cramping. They had all the other snacks that you usually see at aid stations. They had all that covered. They had the water. They had the Gatorade. And then the most surprising thing was the fried Spam. I never had Spam before, and I thought they were messing with me because they're like, Justin, this tastes like bacon. And I'm like, no, whatever. And I tried it, and maybe I was 20 miles into the race and I was starving, or maybe it really did taste like bacon, but it was good. It was crispy, but then it was kind of salty, and it was just like bacon. It was amazing. So Spam is good for ultras. Who knew? And at the end of the race, I've seen a lot of like podcasts and race reports lately where like aid stations run out of food. And when this race was over, they had 10 watermelons left over. I mean, I had to take one home with me. So It just shows Outlaw has enough food, so much food that they can send you home with extra. So, all right, so let's talk about the swag. First up, we have a collapsible race cup with the Outlaw 100 logo on it. And then we have this awesome Dark and Dirty t-shirt. I really like this design. And I like how every year it's this design, but just with different colors with it. And then I'm not sure if it counts, but I did get that watermelon too. So it's pretty awesome. All right, so let's talk about my experience. I was in a really interesting spot because I have a 100 miler at the end of the month that's on an old rail trail. I was recovering from a hamstring injury, so I didn't want to injure myself more, but I needed to get miles in for my 100-mile race. So the smart thing would be to go nice and slow and get night miles in on the gravel road. But that would make for the most boring YouTube video ever. So what I decided to do was run the first lap on the trail. I got some amazing footage of all the amazing runners out there. And then we came across that start finish line. I went out and I ran the gravel road. And then I came back, finished. I put my GoPro away and I ran the gravel road 2 or 3 more times. And then I decided I need to work on power hiking through the night. I always get so tired in 100-mile races going through the night. And this is just the perfect time to do it because this gravel road is so big. I can meet other people, talk with them, and just get invested in their race. And that's exactly what I did. I just power hiked. I took it easy. I didn't upset my injury at all. And I ended up finishing a little after 5 a.m. So it was a perfect training run, executed very well, which is very rare. Usually I learn things the hard way through these races. So it's nice to be able to go into a race with a game plan, follow it, and come out with an awesome medal. This thing, the Outlaw medals are so huge, and it's just so cool to see people's faces when they cross the finish line and then they put this on and it's as big as their head. It's so awesome to see everyone's excitement and joy when they get these huge medals. So that's my experience. I had a blast. I loved it. I get to relive it all over again when I come through and put these YouTube videos together. And so that's just how it was for me. And I feel like I'm in a great place coming into my 100-miler at the end of the month. So if you guys are going to the Badger 100 in Wisconsin, I'll see you there. And hopefully you guys like this style of video. I'm going to keep it going with the race, the terrain, the food, the swag, and my experience. That way you guys can see a highlight video of the race, or you can just tune in to get all the bulletin points of the race with a little bit of video added in. So hope you guys enjoyed it. And until next time, run trails and eat bacon.